Hello, everybody. My name is meteorologist Hutch Johnson. We have some severe storms working their way through the Ohio River Valley as we speak. We'll update you on that, and we're going to show you areas of impact tonight and again tomorrow as severe weather grips the nation. And we'll get started right away. Let's take a look at what we have going on now across the lower 48 and even Alaska, as well as we take that national view of the latest radar. Now, we have winter storm warnings in red all the way from Nome, Alaska, and the western reaches of Alaska up there. But look at the mountains of the Rockies in Montana and Wyoming, winter storm warnings. We're not worried about winter storms here in the portions of the southern Great Lakes, as we have a severe thunderstorm watch in place right now for this line of storms from Saginaw and Flint as we go through the 2 o'clock hour straight down into the areas not far from you folks in the Lima area, as well as the Columbus area. Now, the red areas, those are tornado watches, but up north, severe thunderstorms will be the main threat. What's happened so far? These little diamonds that you see here, 1 to 2 inch diameter hail has been reported with these storms, the ones that are moving their way right now, as you see the radar, into the Tyrone Township area and not far from Farmington Hills, as this whole batch of storms is making its way toward Detroit. Now, there are active severe thunderstorm warnings with this, and we will tell you that the wind damage threat is real with these storms. Some of these areas here showing some outflows at times moving into Toledo here. This little bowing structure would indicate a very strong potential in some spots, not all spots, but some spots where these storms move through, gusty straight line winds. So be watching for that as we head into your afternoon. Again, these storms are not very far from Detroit as the crow flies as we take a look right now. So the eastern suburbs of Detroit can expect that these storms will be less than about 45 minutes from you as they're moving very quickly. And it's only 30 miles away from the greater Detroit area. Now, as we take a look elsewhere, we do have that tornado watch that's in effect. As we look a little bit farther down to the south, that tornado watch is working its way through places like, well, Sydney at this time, Bellefontaine on up to Kenton, these strong storms here. These also showing this backward C shape on the northern fringe of these, indicating that there's some bowing structure to these and that the outflow and the wind damage potential is high. We've had some 1 inch diameter hail reported from these storms out to the west out there as we take a look there. Greenville seeing some very stout thunderstorms from these as well. We're watching those for rotation. The best chance of rotation is to the south. We're going to analyze all of that as the line of storms is continuing to make its way through the region. We do have scattered showers across from upstate New York and Syracuse to offshore in Philly. Now, if you're range from Philly all the way to PA, Philadelphia rather, and Pittsburgh, those areas will all have a chance for some stout thunderstorms. We'll time it all out for you. But first, let's take a look at those risks of severe weather today across the nation. We'll start with a look at that national forecast map. We have an area of low pressure let's go ahead and take a look at this one. An area of low pressure right in the Great Lakes. That's causing rain across Minnesota to start to wind down. Severe weather in the Ohio River Valley is a possibility where you see the or yellow stripes. And then late tonight, Kansas will have a chance at seeing some storms into the overnight hours, skirting into the Kansas City area of Missouri as we go through with a cold front bringing a chance of snow all the way through the western Rockies of Montana and most of Wyoming. That's the forecast today, and tomorrow there is a risk of severe weather as well from the Central Plains straight down into the heart of Texas. So that's a look at the big picture. Now let's take a look at the specific threats with these storms as we work our way into the day today. Now, there is that risk of some thunderstorms rumbling through the Ohio River Valley. There is a slight risk of severe weather there, a marginal risk all the way out to the nation's capital and not far from places like Philadelphia. Marginal meaning that a couple of those storms may still have a potent punch to them. The main risk overnight will be the gusty straight line winds. Then as we get toward the wee hours of the night and morning, it looks like another round of severe weather developing associated with some energy working its way off of the Rocky Mountains. Now, here are the areas of concern with regards to day 2. There's enhanced risk in the Missouri River Valley as we look out here into the Mississippi River Valley as well. Southern Illinois, southern parts of Indiana, as well as western Kentucky and Tennessee in the enhanced risk here. That includes the Boot Hill of Missouri as well. The slight risk needles all the way back into the heart of Texas, and there'll be a chance for some stout thunderstorm activity there as well. Here is a look at that tornado risk as we go through the day on your Thursday, with a 5% risk of storms that could potentially produce a tornado within 30 miles of any point within that brown area. 5% chance of some tornadic activity. So that's what we're watching for there. And as we take a look at those storm threats elsewhere down into Texas, this hatched area is for a hail probability that is significant, a significant risk of hail in central portions of Texas as we go through the afternoon on your Thursday. But for tonight, our risks remain quite stout indeed. So let's take a look at the radar, and we're going to load up some model guidance here. And in the model guidance, we're going to look at some convective allowing model here that allows us to go back in and watch what actual aspects of the storm are going to bring us to greatest risk. So here is one model. I'm going to go ahead and pop back up to an hour that will get me out just a little bit farther in time, because these storms are not only going to be working through our area here in Toledo now, but as we go through time, they will work their way into Detroit. So the timing on this model showing storms pushing into Detroit, and again, they're within an hour of Detroit now. So timed out pretty good on this model. That's the model initialization is pretty good with this, having the timing of the storms moving out of Toledo into Detroit as we approach the 3 o'clock time frame. Mount Vernon, there'll be a chance for you of seeing some stout thunderstorm activity. Now, the activity going on in the Pittsburgh area, not severe at that particular juncture, but when the main event and the main line starts working its way through, these isolated storms that do form up here in the late afternoon and early evening could be strong to severe, while a Boeing line segment working its way out of the Cleveland area towards Erie, Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Wheeling, West Virginia. This backwards C shape would indicate that potent, gusty, straight line wind potential. Those winds would either be coming from the west or northwest, depending upon where you are located in this line of storms. So that threat makes its way in as we go towards drive time tonight and around the 6 o'clock hour. As we head into the late night hours, 9 to 10 o'clock, Buffalo, New York, straight down into, Clarksburg, West Virginia will have a chance. Altoona, Pennsylvania will see those storms. They do tend to show some weakening signs, but out ahead of that main event here, heading in towards the Westminster area, heading toward Baltimore, is a chance for some stout thunderstorm activity. And again, as we take a gander at the time frame on the model on this is 9 p.m. tonight, late. So by the time we get to the morning hours, the wee hours of the morning, I should say, the boroughs in New York will have a chance at seeing some thunderstorm activity. The risk of severe will be a little lower as we get into the late night hours. Now, speaking of the late night hours, remember I was telling you we could have some storms firing up. Look at this, St. Joseph, Kansas City, as we take a look at this timing for you out in parts of Kansas, really firing up as we get in past 10 o'clock. So after bedtime tonight, thunderstorms could form, and all modes of severe weather will be possible with the energy moving out of the Rocky Mountains. So again, the time frame will be very late into the overnight hours, with more in store for the day tomorrow. Timing the storms then for your tracker tomorrow, we're going to be focusing on that area of concern by the Storm Prediction Center from northern parts of Missouri. Look what's rolling out of Sioux Falls, energy there as we go through the day. So here's your main line of storms working their way out of Kansas City and pushing off towards Quincy. But as we go through the day, we refire up the heating energy in the atmosphere. And as we head towards the mid-morning hours, there'll be a line of windy thunderstorms making their way through. Watch what happens. The timing is perfect. See this backward C shape once again. Kansas City, Columbia, right along the I-70 corridor through central Missouri. We'll have a chance for some very gusty, windy thunderstorms in the morning hours, mid-morning. Now, these will push their way right into the St. Louis area during peak heating time, and that's where the risk for the tornadic thunderstorms will really begin to fire up once again. So for tomorrow, the risk for the spinning storms will be focused on portions of eastern Missouri, central Missouri, Jeff City, down to Rolla and into the St. Louis area. The model timing now has these between noon and 3 p.m., working their way into Springfield on the Illinois side and pushing their way on in towards Cape Girardeau a little later in the day. Now, we were talking Texas. Here's the Texas storms, very isolated in nature, but down south, the risks are going to be for some ginormous monster hail from Killeen, Texas on into Waco. Those storms will have some punch to them, but then as they move down toward the Gulf Coast, to time taking them late into the overnight means that they'll be losing some of their punch as the storms in the Central Plains head towards Nashville in the late Thursday night, Friday morning time frame. That is a look at the track and timing of those storms as we go through tonight and tomorrow. Now, one more thing to look at here for both models, we're going to take a look at the spin in the atmosphere. To do that, we're going to look at the storm's helicity or spin that's calculated by the model models, and the bright colors would indicate where the spin is the greatest. Now, we'll let this model load up, but what I wanted to point out was that tonight, the risk is going to be greatest on the southern edge of these storms working their way into and through Cleveland and out towards Philadelphia as we get toward the afternoon and evening hours. The spin is there, the thunderstorms are not. Here's the main line of storms pushing in late this evening into Pittsburgh, and notice there'll be a chance for some spin in the atmosphere. So again, you can have spin in the atmosphere, but no storms, and that's likely what's going to be working its way through the Harrisburg area and Philly as we go through the 6 p.m. hour tonight on Tuesday. But look at Pittsburgh as we go into the 6 p.m. area. That is where the main line of storms will be pushing through. Wind will be the main threat, damaging straight line winds. Hail will be a threat, but there could still be the potential for some storms that have enough spin to produce some tornadic activity, and we'll keep our eyes on that for you. And if you're in these areas, make sure that you keep your eyes on information from the local National Weather Service offices with regards to where tornado warnings might be issued. There is still spin in the atmosphere with the bright colors you see near Philly as the storms work their way in the late night hours, but that moves offshore very quickly with the storm threat. So we'll be watching this as we go through the evening. Now, out in Kansas, look at this nonsense, right? Look at how bright that is. The amount of spin in the atmosphere very late tonight is very robust, but the thunderstorms aren't going to be widespread. All of this up north is going to be rain shower activity across parts of central Nebraska. But as we carry this through in time, the spin really increases with the thunderstorms late tonight. Remember, we said midnight storms and after bedtime, St. Joseph, Missouri, Kansas City, Leavenworth, on out towards Chillicothe and the Kirksville, Ottumwa area as we go into the late night hours. So overnight storms could be very robust in northern portions of Missouri for tonight. And then look at tomorrow as we head toward the heating of the day. Here it comes again with those storms working their way through in the 1 to 2 o'clock time frame in the afternoon through Hannibal, Quincy, Pittsfield, Jacksonville, on in towards Springfield, Springfield, Illinois, not Missouri. That's the other one way down in the southwest part of Missouri. So my mistake there. But the spin in the atmosphere tomorrow will be more common up in the northern reaches of this storm. But down in Texas, the reason we're less worried about tornadoes is that you're going to have more lift and oomph in the atmosphere than you'll have turning and spinning. That is a look at the weather. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. I've been broadcasting weather for the better part of 30 years. I've taught meteorology in the college classroom for the better part of 20 years, and I sure love talking to you. I'd love to have you subscribe to my channel here. I love to have your likes as well if you liked what you saw here. Thanks so much. Tell a friend, and we'll be checking in a little bit later. And if you have time, learn more about me by checking out some of the videos I have on my playlist for you right up here.